Hello everyone, welcome to Nirog India's interview series called COVID Heroes. Through this series, we intend to celebrate the champions who have been helping others during this pandemic in any way possible. Today we have with us Ms. Roshni Nugehalli, who is from a Yuva organization. Ma'am, please can you introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, Dhruv, and thanks, Nirog, for speaking to us. I am Roshni. I'm the director of an organization called YUVA, Youth for Unity and Voluntary Action. We were set up 36 years ago, so maybe older than many of you. And we are a youth-based organization, really looking at youth development, youth for development. But also over the years, we've expanded in a lot of work on urban poverty. So we work in bastis, so slums, we refer to them as bastis. We work in bastis across several cities of Maharashtra and other parts of this country as well, helping people who live urban poor to access their rights and entitlements, whether it's housing, labor, livelihood, education, so on and so forth. So that's the work we've been doing. I've been with Yuva for 7 years now.
Thank you for sharing, ma'am. Please can you tell us about your work during this pandemic? So I went to the website of yours and like the first banner which I was able to see, it was, labeling that the work you're doing right now. So please can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think Yuva is a very grassroots organization. We have a lot of presence in Bastis, and even as early as March 15th, 16th, we got the people who worked in the field. Our colleagues came to us and said that logon ke kaam ja rahe, they're losing jobs. The vendors are not able to sell. Some of them are getting laid off. The construction industry. So we realized that the COVID situation is going to strike. So very early on, we launched a campaign called Together We Can, which basically was to raise funds for basic ration kits. At that point, we didn't know how serious this would be. We were looking at 1 week, 1 week ration kit. And normally, Yuva is not an organization that provides services like this. We don't do, food and water provision, but we're more into rights and entitlement. But we knew, but this was needed because that was what our community members were telling us. So we launched our campaign. We started getting quite a bit of funding. And then because we were one of the, I think, first movers in Bombay, once the actual Janata curfew happened, the last weekend in March, post that, many people started coming to us to support us with funding to really do the campaign. And within a week, we had already done a rapid assessment in several bastis of Mumbai. We realized that the people who are getting affected the most by the lockdown are the daily wage earners. So your street vendors, your construction laborers, your rickshaw wale, all of them. And that was who we were targeting. So we did a rapid assessment to find out who really needed it. Within the bastis, also single women households or people with disabled, children, senior citizens, so that we could prioritize the relief. So we did the rapid assessment on the ground. We were able to put in place a fundraising team. Several, well-known people in the city came forward to help us, saying we will spread your campaign, on Twitter, or few of them started their own campaigns on like Keto and other online fundraising platforms. So the city really came together to help us in the fundraising part, which was very important because we are not the best always. NGOs are not the best at fundraising. So as that part started taken care of, the actual work on the ground was the relief distribution. And for that, our teams have been amazing the way they have pivoted their work, from doing other sorts of housing, labor to direct relief. The way they've pivoted has been very inspiring for us. The other advantage was the community groups on the ground. So every basti we work in has youth groups, has local leaders, and they were really very helpful in actually distributing the relief, because of course there was the distancing issue. So they brought the list, they actually did the hard work. So primarily the work we've done has been in relief distribution. So over the course of now 4 months, we've distributed, I think, more than 45,000 kits, and they've all been monthly ration kits. So this is like 25 kilos of saman. So that's about 45,000 kits. Then early on, we also realized that the frontline workers, like your hospital staff, police, they were on the ground for 24 hours a day. So we started providing them hot cooked meals, which then those cooked meals we also extended to migrant workers who were stranded in a construction site, who were stranded at Nakas. So the cooked meals was an added layer. And then as on May 2nd, when they opened up the borders for the migrant workers, the Shramik trains came into this one. The initial period was very challenging. We've seen all the pictures in the news. People were walking, they were getting stuffed into, buses, tempos, no idea, families, children. So we also supported about 15, 16,000 migrants with basic needs on their way, maybe like sanitary kit, some snacks, a bottle of two of water, some medicines, just until they reach their destination. Because we did a survey, the average kilometers that people have traveled are like 1,000, each person has traveled, many of whom have gone by cycle, by walk, by bus, changing multiple buses. So these were sort of the three prongs of work we did: the direct ration kits for people who are living in bastis, along with basic hygiene, sanitation, sanitary napkins, etc. The cooked meals for the frontline workers, and the migrant support for the migrants who traveled ahead. That's what we did, yeah, during the pandemic lockdown. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. What was your biggest challenge? Was it like transitioning into working into these areas, or was it like because you hadn't expected it to last this long?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, what was very clear was a purpose. Like, why does Yuva exist? Yuva exists to be partners of people in their situation and their lives. So there was because our purpose was clear, there was no question of whether we would get involved in the relief or not. It was like automatic. It was like 2-minute decision that we will get involved. So that was not a challenge. And our teams, like I said, were already ready. Because they are also, that passion exists. Many of them are from Bastis themselves. So they also have that very direct connect with the reality. So that was definitely not a challenge. And I think like I also mentioned, we got quite a bit of people to support us in the fundraising, and then corporates started approaching us. Of course, there were other routes for them to give money, but they realized that we were doing a good job, and we were able to get that communication out in the early days, on Twitter, on Facebook, so on. And at the same time, even the administration was very supportive. Janta curfew happened on the Sunday. By Monday, we got all the permissions, from the DCPs of the different, because they knew that this was going to be a law and order situation if food didn't reach people. So, no, they also supported us very well. I think the challenge, I would say, really was two things. Two related things. One, the need was so huge. We ran a migrant worker helpline, which on a normal day people call and say apna wages nahi, we've not gotten wages, or my child is sick, whatever. Migrant worker helpline, we get maybe 8 to 10 calls a day. uh, in the peak of first week of April, we were getting nearly 40-50 calls a day, all asking for food from across the city. And this was like one person handling this, and there was no way for us also to reach, because we also had limited number of teams. So I think the magnitude of the problem was a big challenge for us, and we had to, initially we decided to work in say 15 areas. Within 3 days we had spread that to 30 communities. At the end, we worked in more than I think 7 municipalities in the Mumbai metropolitan region, because the need was so much. And we were able to network with our local groups and all of that. So I think that was definitely a challenge of magnitude. And our reading is that if had this been planned a little better, had we been given at least 4 or 5 days notice before the Janta curfew, when the caseload was still low, when you and set, actually start many Shramik trains, let people find a way, say that 5 दिन के बाद lockdown होने वाला है, आप, you figure out आपके लिए safest जगह जो होगा. I think then the magnitude of the problem would have decreased. So definitely, a commentary on the way the decision was taken at the government level. But that was a challenge, the magnitude. I think the other challenge has been, yes, of course, the situation has extended. It has, but the health crisis has become a human rights crisis. So it's not just food. The sort of domestic violence that is going on in families because everybody is living together. Children are facing abuse. Their education is completely dismantled. People are not able to do proper hygiene. They are just doing open defecation, because who has money to pay for those toilets when you're not even earning? So the way the health crisis has turned into a human rights crisis is a big challenge, not just for Yuva, but for all organizations, for the entire country. And what is our response to that? How long? You cannot just keep giving ration throughout. These are people who built the city, who were not used to living on anybody's charity. They live dignified lives. They were not expecting any food from you. So many of them, when we would give them the kit, they would say, "Abhi bas karo, hame bas kaam chahiye. Hame aapse, we don't want any more free food from you." So I think those were the challenges. One, in terms of the numbers of people who are affected, which goes to show how many people in this country are daily wage earners and how many people have no savings. They don't even have savings to last 1 week without work. Only if I work today, I will be able to eat tomorrow. That situation is in the 70%, 80% of our cities are made of people like that. And of course, the fact that it's a human rights crisis. It's the way it has impacted us has been really scary, I think. And no other country has felt this as much as India has done because of the number of poor people in this country. So it also is a critique on the India shining, image. Of course, USA has been hit by health crisis. Italy has had the highest deaths. Nobody has had this type of human rights crisis other than our country, and maybe to some extent Brazil. So I think that's an important point to take home. For all of us, it's a challenge, I think. Yeah.
Thank you. How do you think the government agencies and the people can really help you?
Yeah. I mean, I think during the whole crisis, every 1 or 2 weeks, 3 weeks, there were many schemes which are being announced by the government, right? They were also trying to figure out, can we manage, can we not, So Atmanirbhar was announced in late April. Before that, also some schemes were announced. So right now, that the challenge, and these will exist because lockdowns are easing out, people are getting back into work, but it's very different. It's not like earlier, maybe earlier I used to work for 6 days. Now I can only work for 3 because all the construction sites have not opened up. Earlier I was able to go to a society to do 3 houses, work as a maid. Now the societies are not letting me in, so I have become a street vendor. So obviously my income is much lower. So the need for government welfare and government social security is paramount. We've seen it in the monsoon in Bombay, like so many floods and cyclones came this time that people weren't even able to put the basic patra, the tarpaulin on their homes. So government welfare and entitlements are hugely important. There have been many announcements made, no doubt, but the implementation of these is a huge question mark. Because my Aadhaar is not linked with my bank account. My Aadhaar calls me, Roshni Nugehalli, but my PAN is Nugehalli Roshni, so then I don't get any access to anything. All these things. So the bureaucratic procedure of getting any of the entitlements, the ceiling is so high. So we need, these seva kendras set up everywhere. So what Yuva is doing right now, we have, sort of pulled out the relief. We are doing 100% entitlement work. So we go and say, this is a basti, either ration nahi mil raha. How can we use your voter ID to give you ration? Here you're not getting Ujjwala gas. How can we get that for you? That's what we call as entitlements. Here you're a construction worker. You should get 2,000 rupees in your bank account as per the labor department. How can we help you to get that? Work with the line departments, work with the labor departments. So how do we set up one stop? And none of this is online. Remember, everything is 24 pages, baith ke bhar bhar ke we have to do. So how can we really ease some of this? I mean, technology is not the solution. It's just a mediator. The solution is to how do we make it easy for anybody in the city to access basic welfare and social security. If I am okay, I will not go for a 2,000. If I can survive, I will not go for a 2,000 rupee, direct cash transfer. So universalize all the benefits, whether it is ration, whether it is cash transfer. We've seen in the countries, even of the West, the minute lockdowns were announced and people lost job, dole was initiated, right? Everybody was getting money in their account. So if we can find a way of getting food, spending, as well as job security, those are the entitlements that really the government needs to give. And how do we facilitate that? I mean, corporate sector should also support organizations like us who are helping in the implementation of these schemes. I mean, I think that's very critical because people need somebody to mediate that, negotiate with the authority, Xerox karke lana, all of those things. I think that's really where we need support. And yeah, I mean, I think overall, I hope that this situation really makes our country wake up, really take a second look at the way we are designing our cities, the way we are treating people who are responsible for building our cities, and really value them more. But also a great shout out to the way the city has come together. All cities, all places, people who have security really coming out and helping those who don't. I think we have seen that also, where the state has not been able, the government has not been able to come, people have been able to come. So that's a good, it gives you hope as well. We can get through any crisis. I think. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. It was great talking to you and
Sure.
understanding your work.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Dhruv.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. To the viewers, if you know of any individual, a group of individuals, or an organization doing welfare work in your area and would like to get featured in our interview series, please reach out to us in the email ID flashing on your screen below. Thank you.